Welcome back to this week's episode of the Dance Studio Scaled podcast. Now, in today's episode, I am going to be talking about 5 things that are actually working right now for studio growth. This is a question that always gets brought up. It is something that we constantly need to keep doing for sure as studio owners. However, things tweak and change slightly, and it can become overwhelming because we get into a bit of a spiral and we're trying things, they're not working, you're seeing other people do stuff, and then you try it, it doesn't work for you. So it becomes this overwhelming process. So what I thought I would do is just break down 5 things that are actually working at the moment. And these are things that I'm doing currently with dance studio owners, and we are seeing the results of it and it's working. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. Now, if you're listening to this in real time, we are heading into about week 5, 6, or 7 of term 1, give or take, when you started back. And if I was to break down those first 3 months of our new dance year, January is the month where we are full of optimism, anticipation, that excitement and hope. In February, when things are just all happening, there's lots of new people coming in, we're resettling our current families. It's a time for a bit of adjustment and slight tweaks and movements, so that by March, we really should be working through and getting clear on everything. So gaining clarity about what we've been doing, what's working and what's not. Because by now you can feel it. And this is because emotions have settled. The adrenaline is wearing off. Hopefully your timetable has settled into place beautifully and is working. And your team, they either feel solid or you've been able to identify where some cracks are so that you can start fixing that. This month is where we want to stop reacting to those things that do come up at the beginning of a new dance year and start observing. And because I'm in a lot of close conversations right now, I'm looking at the real numbers, I'm looking through the patterns and what's happening in real life, and I want to share exactly what's working. Because again, these aren't theories. These aren't based on what I think. They're not trends. They're not based on what everyone else is doing. It's not loud internet opinion from people who have little to no idea. It's literally just what's working right now for studio growth as I am seeing it in real time. So before we dive in, I just want to remind you that if you are feeling like your numbers are a bit low right now, don't spiral, because I've put together this short guide and training with 3 simple strategies that you can implement right now to increase them. And they're working. So that particular link I will leave in the show notes, or you can just send me a DM and I will send it through to you. Now, let's get talking about what I am seeing. The first thing is this midterm momentum done correctly. So I have mentioned in previous episodes, parent buying behavior has changed somewhat. So some families don't want to commit in January. They are waiting. They let school settle. They wait to see how tired their child is. They're testing out new routines. They work out, what a term is actually going to look like or what their year looks like. And then it's about around this time, week 5, 6, 7, where they're starting to feel more settled and ready to commit to those extracurricular activities. And studios that are growing right now understand that that's just part of the timing psychology. They're not rerunning their January promos, but slightly shifting their messaging. Because what we were saying in January to our perfect ideal family who we want to join is now different to what we should be saying to them now. So in January, it's about building that FOMO. You want to join. This is the last chance before classes start for the year. But now we want to be changing it too. Now that school is settled, and if you're still looking for something structured or consistent for your child, then here is your window. So that slight tweak, the tone, the words, it matters. And some other things that are working right now. It's the structured midterm trial offer. It's an option for smaller financial commitments before they enroll for a year. It's communication that makes it feel safe for them to start, whether it's the middle of term 1 or the beginning of term 2, and just giving them the confidence that it's not too late. And again, it's not about that louder marketing, it's just better timed marketing. Okay, the next thing is clear parent education. So because of this behavior shift, parents are asking different questions. They're wanting different things. So it's not simply, does my child love coming? They're asking, is it structured? Are they progressing? Is this worth the financial and time investment? Is this building resilience? Will my child feel important or feel like a star? Those parents that are asking those questions. We need to make sure that we are explaining this in our messaging. We are answering these questions that they're asking themselves. Studios that are explaining progression clearly are retaining better. So not longer emails, just clearer messaging. So explaining pathways, explaining why consistency matters, explaining how skills are built term by term. Because when a parent understands the journey, then they're more likely to commit and stay. When they don't understand the journey, that's where they start doubting, or they'll start to drift, or they'll start to look elsewhere. Education is what builds retention, and retention then builds that stable growth. Okay, number 3 is calm and non-reactive leadership. Now, this one will separate professionally perceived studios from chaotic studios. So the studios that are seeing momentum right now, they didn't hit the panic button. Well, if they did, they didn't let anybody else see. They didn't reshuffle the timetable or change up their teachers. They didn't suddenly add new programs or change anything. They didn't hire emotionally. There's a big difference between that proactive behavior and the reactive behavior. And a lot of studios are still operating reactively. Now, I also want to say that I understand, because I've been there and I've lived it, there are things that come up that we can't anticipate and we have to respond at the time, which is reactive behavior. I totally get that. But what I'm trying to encourage you to do is take control of what you can, have that sorted and set in systems, and have the communication tied around it beautifully, so that that is all happening, so that when things do happen that we have to respond to on the spot, we're not worrying about those other things. We can just deal with that straight away. And so to get to that spot of proactivity, it's going to look like things like looking at your data, understanding those patterns, making measured adjustments based off that. Where if you look at reactive behaviors, it's based on emotion, it's based on the urgency, or a big one is comparison. Remember, parents feel the energy in the studio. They feel the energy that comes from you, the leader. Teams feel your energy as well. So they're feeding off your energy. Calm leadership just builds trust. Because if you're not panicking, if you're not thinking, letting on that you think the house is on fire, then everyone else will just trust and believe that everything's okay. And that's the trust that builds longevity. Okay, number 4 is the refining over reinventing. What's not working? They're not burning it down every term. What is working is they're doing micro adjustments. So studios that are growing and refining, they're fixing things like the trial experience. They're tweaking their onboarding email and the onboarding experience. The first 4 weeks of their term, they're fixing. The teacher expectations, the communication tone, classroom experience. They're not consistently reinventing the business. They're just strengthening the foundation. And it's small improvements in high impact areas that compound faster than adding something new. So these studios optimize. They just don't constantly reinvent. And really, we don't have time for that. We're too busy, right? Okay, number 5 is data-led clarity. So This is a bit of a quiet one, and it's one that a lot of studio owners don't really want to know about because it's not as exciting. It's things like knowing their numbers, their re-enrollment and retention percentages, or their trial to enrollment conversions, their weekly revenue target, their class capacity. These are the things that will give you calm. The clarity removes the urgency to respond. Guessing any of this stuff is what creates drama, and drama then leads to those unstable decisions. So when you understand your numbers, you don't spiral early in the year. You can just adjust them calmly. And then you're making strategic choices, and then you're leading really, really well. And that's what everyone is seeing. Now, if you are continually scrolling on social media and you're thinking, I'm missing something, what am I missing? Everyone else is so successful. You're probably not. You're probably not missing something. It's just that internet is loud. What actually is working right now is this midterm momentum done right, clear parent education, this calm ideal of leadership, refinement over reinvention, and data clarity. None of it's flashy, but it's really powerful. And I'll say this, the conversations that I'm having right now with studio owners stepping into their next level are centered around these exact things. This month, it's time to take action. And so if you would like to do that alongside me in our mastermind and in a room of driven action-taking studio owners who are absolutely killing it with their results, we should jump on a call to see whether it's the right time and the right place for you to be there. Because this month, I'm opening 10 spots. And if this episode feels aligned with you or feels like somewhere where you're heading, then I would just love for you to apply. Because this all starts with a conversation. And if it's not quite the right time for you or we're not quite the right fit, it's absolutely fine. But we won't know unless we jump on a call. If it's a little bit early for that and you are still feeling the pinch with the numbers, you're wanting to do something but not quite sure, you can always download that free guide that I've put together with 3 strategies that you can implement right now to help boost those enrollments right now. All you need to do is implement these 3 strategies, and in this document, I've got all the examples there. I've got copy, so you can just copy and paste it, make it into the messaging and the words that are going to speak directly to your community and your ideal families that you want to enroll in the studio. Then I want you to just look at the data this week. So March is that month where you want to be getting clear. You want to start not burying your head anymore. Let's just start looking, because that's the clarity is where scale begins. All right, everyone, I'm going to leave the links below for both the free guide with the 3 strategies and also the application if you are wanting to jump on a call for the mastermind. I'll leave them below in the show notes or just send me a message on IG. All right, everyone, I will see you next week.